Greetings, programs. I'm Day, also known as Discs of Tron, and I'm joined again by Reedz to discuss the brilliant music in Tron Uprising and Tron Runner.
Hello. Yeah, it's me. It's Reedz. Man, I'm like really excited for the first segment. And also, I am also in a different location because noise complaints are pretty cool. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this episode, especially for what we are about to talk about. And I'm also running on caffeine because I lost sleep because of last night.
Yeah, we were working on some stuff this last night. Um, so let's just get right into it with Uprising, which was composed by Joseph Trapanese, who was the orchestrator on Tron Legacy.
Yeah, I am so happy that he composed Tron Uprising just because he really kept that rhythmic consistency that he had in Legacy. And of course, he had some really awesome score work for the orchestra. And of course, he was basically the orchestrator for Tron Legacy while Daft Punk handled the synth. So with Tron Uprising, he really took off. And each and every track that he's composed, he really kept that aspect that Daft Punk had with Legacy. And I mean, honestly, some of the character themes that he composed for Uprising are amazing. And I mean, I know I'll definitely talk about a couple of tracks for sure. And I know there's definitely a couple of rhythmic Easter eggs that I found, of course, referencing like for 82 and Legacy. But yeah, I mean, this is an animated series, and Joseph Trapanese really gave Tron Uprising this really like cool movie based soundtrack. I mean, just straight perfection, man. I love it.
Just like when we talked about 2.0 and Runner, the soundtrack went way harder than it
Yep.
had to, and it makes it amazing. So, which track do you want to talk about
I
first?
guess we can kind of go in order. I mean, I definitely all of them are equally amazing, especially the bonus tracks that he released, a couple of months ago that weren't like officially on the soundtrack. So we can just start in order with Beck's theme. Why not?
Okay. I like Beck's theme. It's probably one of the more recognizable tracks from the show if you're to show it to someone who'd like seen 5 or 6 episodes. Just a nice track, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
and the interesting thing when I was analyzing each of the uprising tracks is that they all are in like separate sections. Wow, I can't words apparently. So like I classified it for like A section, B section, and then a modulated A section. And so yeah, I kind of went the route of form and analysis. And then with Beck's beginning in general, I actually want to point this out because I know I was saving this ever since episode one. So when you listen to Beck's beginning with his main character motive, you'll hear something very similar to an 82 soundtrack called Tower Music Let Us Pray. And then you just hear, ba da da da. Same thing. You hear it in Tower Music. I'm just in here like, oh, that's a reference. Like, I just love it.
Some things you only notice when you analyzed all of these soundtracks really close to
Yes,
each
I mean,
other.
hey, fan service, and Uprising definitely has a lot of it.
Moving on to Tesla Throwdown, I think that this track is like one of the tracks that I listen to when I'm working on action scenes for stuff. It's on my playlist for that.
Yeah, Tesla Throwdown, villain consistency, like literally the same key as Clue, same key as Abraxas's themes from Evolution, and yeah, this is definitely epic. And like when you first hear it in episode one, you can definitely hear some references of um, Clue's track from Tron Legacy in it. So I mean it's amazing. Just the again consistency of villain themes.
hmm Moving on to Pages Past, which is my personal favorite track of all of the Uprising tracks. Um, There are a lot of things I like about it. One of the main things being that like it's an in-universe track as well, like part of it is. Um, but it's just very, very good. Um, I believe one time you told me it was also in D minor. I could be wrong.
No. Pages
But
Past.
I feel
This
like
is
you told me.
also one of my personal favorites of this soundtrack. So it's actually an F minor, but one of the coolest
Oh,
things
okay,
at it
awesome.
also modulates to its parallel key F major. I don't know, just the use of the monome in general. It just I don't know, it just really brings out Paige's character. I don't know why. I mean, Tron Uprising really had some really sick character themes, and I mean, Paige's Past definitely uh, I am honestly speechless. It's just one of my favorite tracks.
It's really good. I like how it's technically out of order
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
soundtrack, but at the same time, like most of these tracks are a little bit.
yeah.
Um, but then we have track four, Lux's
Oh
Sacrifice,
no.
which is featured in the episode
Oh
Identity.
no. I'll just say this. I kind of cry every time I listen to this track.
Because of the music or
This
because of the
um
scene that it's
the
in?
scene, especially towards the latter of episode
Hmm.
5. So it's just like
It's a very good episode. But we aren't talking about that today. We're
yeah.
talking about the
I don't want to
music.
get go into my
So,
feels yet, but Lux's Sacrifice definitely has that nice mix of a before an action scene, and then we just get this really like emotional so, vocal soloist towards the end. It's just like a basically it's like a whole basically a whole package of a track, and it's honestly one of my second favorite track out of Uprising. But yeah.
hmm, moving on to Price of Power now, which is featured in the episode Price of Power. Um,
Not surprised.
I believe this is the track from the climax of the episode.
Yeah, so it's kind of spaced out throughout the episode, and I think, of course, when you think of like the whole like music splicing that's done to fit the appropriate scenes. So, I mean, you hear the beginning of Price of Power, like right as the first like scene starts with, scientist Shaw, and then you hear like the climax of the piece once Pavel puts on the power disc, and then that's when the fight scenes happen and such. I mean, it is a really cool piece. It kind of took me a while to like it. I don't know why. I guess like the beginning for me was just like not my thing, but the more I listened to it, I was all like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like I can imagine a couple of fight scenes and a couple more fight scenes besides the one with Pavel and Beck.
It's a good track. I think it shows off, like, it manages to convey the power of the power disc
Yeah,
pretty
and of
well.
course it appears again too in Rendezvous when Pavel goes against Paige again. Say at the same kind of sequence, he puts on the power disc. You can hear like that climactic portion of the track reappear.
Hmm. Then up next, we have Rescuing the Rebellion.
Yeah. So I know I was watching Tron Uprising with a friend of mine a few days ago, and I was just trying to get more, ideas of where the track happens and such. So like for me, I heard it happen during the towards like the ladder of Tagged when back in the Jolly Tricksters are trying to escape Tesla's ship. And it's just great. I mean, it fits an action scene like that real well, especially, when Mara, paints the recognizer and just causes like a domino effect. And just the music is just right there at the right time.
Hmm. And then up next, we have a series of 6 tracks known as the Scars
Yes.
Suite. I will let you
Oh
go through
man, the
those.
Scar Suite. As much as I would put them all together, I mean, as much as I know Pages Pass is like my personal favorite track, but when it comes to chunking a couple of tracks together. The Scar Suite just is amazing. I'm such a fan of what Trappanese did for this two-parter episode and just putting these sequences like together. So like Dyson drops in, literally like I was already excited. Like the music was perfect. Just Dyson's whole intro, like we already know, okay, this he is, another one of, the main programs that we need to be careful about. But yeah. Uh, and then I guess what's your take on Dyson drops in? Because I know this it's one of the I like how it's the opening for the suite.
Well, it's also like the opening for Dyson's
Mm-hmm.
character, and it sets him up pretty well. It showcases Tesla's reaction of, oh no,
But
what have I done?
I was gonna say, do you need a vacuum to kind of like clear? Oh yeah. If we continuously talk about Dyson, I know both of us are trying so hard not to make a vacuum joke. So
Yes, yes, that is indeed the case.
okay.
Then we move on to Tron's Promise.
Yeah, this one, I don't know why my Spotify likes to keep like putting this on loop for me, and I enjoy it. It's actually spliced throughout the entire series. Like we actually hear it first in when they're back Beck and Tron are back in the hideout for the first time. And so Tron kind of gives like this whole narrative of what's happened so far. And then we get more of it when in Scars Part 1, where all the flashbacks of him and Dyson before, of course, he betrayed Tron. But, the music is amazing. And I think the most like epic part of this track is when Tron, Dyson, and the rest of the security program team go down, and just that epic scene on the highway in Tron City is just awesome. And the music just fits perfectly.
The one that showcases the Gen
Yes.
2 bike with the 0.82 on the
Yes.
side as an Easter egg to
Good
82.
old fan service. Okay, and then now we're on to Tron's turn, which I think again another I mean all the Scar Suite is really good. I just love this one as well. I mean, just the end too. We get this whole suspense, and of course, I mean that latter section of the track basically kind of serves as the cliffhanger for Scars 1, and I'm just all like, wow. Like I can't believe Tron just did that, but the music just helped so well.
Mm-hmm. It really accentuates like everything he's doing at that moment and how it goes against everything Beck thinks Tron stands for, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Probably should have said a spoiler warning before we started this,
But
but the show is eight
yeah.
years old, so
I mean, honestly, we like do our best, try not to spoil, but we when we need to find like I guess our evidence or so, we kind of have to, use the scene.
yeah. Then we have Beck betrayed.
Oh, we're back. I mean, did Tron really have to just electrocute him like that? I mean, sure, I know you want to get your vengeance on Dyson, but man, this track just really showed, Beck just in shock of that Tron did that to him. And just, it's just him trying to like puzzle out, like, okay, like I need to go stop him. And, the music just really fits, like, I guess serves as, Beck's kind of mood after he woke up from being electrocuted.
In my mind, this is the closest Beck came to quitting
Yeah.
being the renegade. Like, he didn't want to do it in the first episode, and like when Cyrus came around and in No Bounds, he was gonna quit, but like I think when Tron betrayed him, that was the closest he got to it.
Yeah, big time for sure. All right, and Torture. I love this is also another like one of my top tracks. Oh man. I mean, paired with the scene, it's just great. Like the whole like dialogue between Tron, what's been and all of his, his teammates going through repurposing, and I'm just sitting here like, oh, like Joseph Trapanese, why you gotta do this? Like the music is so good, but the hero of the grid has gone through so much.
Whenever I think of Tron being turned into Rensler, this track starts
Oh
playing in my head
no.
because I'm evil.
I don't know. I'm over here like I'm like an expert in like with all like the occupation like backgrounds and stuff. And so I'm just sitting here like in that mood. I'm just like, okay, this is the track I need to go to when if I'm writing stuff about repurposing. And yeah, it's just so good, and of course torturous. Like torture, basically what the title says.
It's amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. And then we have Revenge, which is, I think it's my favorite track of the Scar Suite, personally.
Yeah, just the whole like fight scene in Scars Part 2. I mean, that track definitely just sets the mood for that.
With all of its glorious Rensler
Yes,
foreshadowing.
and of course just the quotes that Tron has said, you watched me die, I'll watch you die. And like every time I hear like that specific like section of the music, I want to quote that every single time.
I feel like that's most of this soundtrack, honestly. Like, I want to start
Yeah,
quoting it.
exactly.
But
Especially with the next track, Redemption. This one I actually quote the most because I mean, I just like that dial. I mean, especially towards the end between Clue and Dyson. And I'm just all like, I will be driving somewhere, and if it pulls up on my Spotify, I mean, I have no choice but to quote it because it's such a good conclusion to the Scar Suite.
no choice. You were legally required.
Yeah, I mean, what else was I supposed to do besides, deal with traffic lights and lunch hour? So,
True. After the Scar Suite, we have a few more tracks, including Goodbye Renegade.
yeah, I mean, I like this soundtrack. I mean, I just like just the huge like action it has in the beginning, and then you get, Beck's main motive return again. And I liked it in the scenes that were used. I know it was used, if I'm correct, in the reward. I don't know. I kind of like lost my, I guess, train of thought when I was analyzing this. I'm like, oh, where were these in the scenes? Like, I should remember, but it's such an epic track.
It is, yeah. There's a lot to go with it. But then we have the, then we have the track from the episode that won the show
Yup.
an Emmy. Not for the music, unfortunately, but we have Compressed Space from the episode The Stranger, which won an Emmy for its art direction. Compressed Space is also known as Zip File.
Uh, yeah, compressed space. This one was kind of interesting. I had to separate this into two sections, even though it felt like four, because it had like the same kind of chord usage as Pages Pass. But I don't know, it just creates this really amazing theme for Cyrus, since this is basically where he had been trapped for the past few cycles. I don't know, it kind of just, that whole like prison was amazing, and like the art and Cyrus really contribute to, how it worked. I don't know, I really liked Compressed Phase.
Yeah, I think the track gives the ethereal
Yes.
vibe of the zip file.
How to make a zip file cool. Just title a piece, Compressed Space.
Indeed, indeed. Uh, And then the last main track on the soundtrack before the remixes is Renegade's Pledge, which is also the end credits theme.
Yeah, it's kind of nice and chill. It's almost got this almost hymn aspect, so to speak. I mean, I feel like you could add a little bit of lyrics, and I feel like, Beck could probably have some sort of little monologue here, but I don't know, Renegade's Pledge is nice. And it's just so nice and smooth in like the first like small section. And then of course when it ends, it goes back to his main theme, and of course the end credits are rolling. I mean, it's such a nice calming track for the first few seconds.
It's also a great track to like help you process whatever you just
Yes.
watched. So, do you want to talk about the remixes or go straight to the
We
extended
can
track?
talk about the remixes. I know there's definitely one in particular that I like. So we can kind of just go down, starting with the light bite battle. I mean, I feel like, yeah, let's see. I know it's just a nice, more upbeat version of like the second section of Beck's theme. I mean, of course, I feel like this is something you could hear, definitely on the highway at night. And just like the drop, the main like melody drop, and when it hits, it's amazing. I don't know. I like the remixes for sure.
Then we have Inferno, which I think is a very fun track.
I mean, honestly, this is a track I can headbang once like the melody starts like hitting. It's all like it's just prepping for it. I'm
Yes.
just all like, yeah, you know.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's murder crew. All that fun stuff.
And of course, you hear bits of it during the episode Blackout. So like you can hear like that main melody.
And then we have the Dyson remix.
Oh man. I mean, I feel like, and as a musician, I feel like this could be some sort of warm up, warm up track to listen to, especially, I don't know, I kept thinking of somebody on a snare line just because it has like a nice like triplet feeling that you could do for a warm up. And of course, like I said, I mean, you give a character, like you give a evil character a good track, and then you give them a remix, they just have the whole package of just being an awesome character.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and on to my, I mean, this is also one of my favorite out of the remixes is Resolution. I mean, when you hear the word Tron hit and the bass drop, just all like, yes. And like for me, I just like that little interesting like Latino vibe that it has in the beginning before the bass drop happens. And it's just cool. I mean, I love Resolution. It's such an amazing track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Resolution is a good one. I'm kind of like blinking on what I like about it, but I know I like it, like that kind of thing. So, but 11 months ago from the recording of this episode, Joseph Trapanese released 7 tracks from Uprising that were not on the official Disney soundtrack, all of which are on Superdip's YouTube channel, which will be linked below in the show notes. So the first one we have is Occupied.
Man, I love this track immediately because I had to separate this into three sections, but I liked how it's done. Really great introduction to General Tesla and the rest of the occupation, taking over Argonne. It just really sets the tone for what's about to happen throughout the series. And I'm such a fan of it. And I
Mm-hmm.
love the switches too. Like the A section was basically the occupation taking over, and and of course the B section's kind of the same thing when Beck goes in and destroys Clue's statue, and then the C section where we kind of get the same ideal of a track that we'll talk within the extended tracks that I'll talk about later. But it's just so cool. It's literally just 3 sections put into one massive track, and I was such a big fan of it.
Yeah, it's a very, very good track. Great introduction to the main antagonists of the show. And then next up, we have Purgos with an E and not with a U like the
Yeah.
actual
I
location.
kind of still type it with a U. Even I like wrote it on my notes because I just like, nah, I'm so used to Purgos with the U.
Hmm.
Yeah, so this track, um, I mean, if you think of Purgos, I mean, of course, this is basically, what Tron said, it's basically kind of like a, wow, I cannot, like, my brain is dying. I definitely need to have more of my caffeine. But it basically used to be like a subsector of Argon, but because of the war, it kind of turned into, I guess, like a broken city. A lot of bad activity happening. And then, with this track being played, it's just, it just really highlights the feel like whenever somebody goes to Purgos.
Hmm. Next up, we have Pavel's Playtime, which is a very fun track showcasing the maniac himself.
When I saw the title of this track for the first time, and I'm just in here like, yeah, that's definitely like the first few sections. I'm just all like, yeah, this is why Pavel is one of the most like insane, like psychotic, like members of the occupation. And this track just suits him really well. With the whole like piano, like the piano like dissonance and the pentatonic scales. And I'm just all like, yeah, I feel like I don't know what the program equivalent of a mental asylum. I'm assuming I mean, probably compressed space, right?
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, this soundtrack helped me more, I guess, expand more on Pavel's character. And just each of the sections are great. I was a fan with the B section, how it had a couple of octave jumps then and there between C3 and C4. I mean, such a good track for such a crazy program.
Hmm. Um, I should
Oof.
stop thinking. Um, Next on the extended tracks, we have end titles, which is um like the last minute of Renegade's Pledge that wasn't included on the actual soundtrack.
Yeah, I mean, basically just the same. Beck's motive returns again, and then it just goes straight to the credits. I mean, I felt like it could be a ringtone, honestly, because of how short it is. I mean, I would put it as my alarm if I had the opportunity to.
Yep, yep. And then we have
Uh,
tagging from the episode
yes.
Tag.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to occupied. So the C section that I put for this is actually what we get is basically tagging, but just a kind of a more shortened version of it. I don't know. I just love it. It fits with the scene so well. And like that episode of Tag, when the Jolly Tricksters, put all the beautiful Tron Lives graffiti. I mean, the track just goes so well. And it kind of works with the timing as the graffiti is like being displayed all across Argon.
It's the perfect fit for
Yes.
the scene. Um, then next up we have Duraz. That was the first time I've said it out loud, and okay.
Kind of hard to differentiate between derezed and deraz, but I feel like this was a strategy. I think maybe Joseph Trapanese was trying to pay homage to the derez track from Tron Legacy, and I feel like you can almost kind of hear the rhythmic variation um from derezed in derazed. Oh, that's so weird to say it like back and forth. Oh, that's gonna be hard. If I'm thinking about derez, I'll probably think about derez. See, it's happening again, man. If I think about derez, I'll probably think about derez. Vice versa.
Yeah. And then we have last track that we will be talking about from Uprising today, Zombie Club, which the title alone makes me feel like it should be an Abraxas
Yeah.
track, but it unfortunately
I
is not.
mean, the track got Abraxified, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe?
There's something else I wish that was on the extended tracks we hear in episode 15, State of Mind. It's called Tesla's Party. And honestly, I just wish that track was like downloadable or something. I love it, so upbeat. And of course, like yeah, I just wish that track appeared.
Mm-hmm. So now we move on to the myth, the legend, the last official Tron soundtrack,
For now,
Tron Runner.
hopefully.
Yes, for now. For now. Disney. This isn't me telling you not to make more
Like
Tron.
we need more Tron.
So, for those of you who don't know what Runner is, it is a 2016 video game. It's an endless runner style game. For PC, PS4, and Xbox One, and its soundtrack is very unique, to say the least.
Yeah, and honestly, this track, when I listened to it the first time, it kind of took a while for me to grow, like, to start liking it. But then I have to kind of listen to the rhythm. And it's amazing what these two composers have done. I mean, they really played around with each of the melodies that they make and put them in like different, organize them into like different parts of the beat. And of course, keeping the same, I guess, sort of theme throughout each of the tracks. So like like all the city remixes um like correlate with each other. Like some of them even pair with each other. Like City Remix 8 is similar to City Remix 1, 3, 5, and 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What was your favorite track
Ooh,
out of all of
okay.
them?
When I was putting on my notes, let's see. I think for me, I have a debate between City Remix 6 because I love how some of the like the even track I noted that the even tracks had seemed to pair together, so I was referencing City Remix 2 and 4. And I feel like if I was in Argon, I mean I feel like this would be one of the tracks that would be playing in the 001 club. I mean it just really has that club aspect. And I love how you can kind of hear, I guess, like you can hear like some sort of like dialogue with the melody. It's almost saying this way, at least from that's what I was hearing.
Mm-hmm. There were a lot of things in the soundtrack like that where you could potentially hear things in it, and I almost wonder if like that's intentional or if it's just a giant
I
coincidence.
feel like it is
Um,
just because I mean, of course, you're running. It's basically you're being told, oh, go this way. It just fits with the theme, and of course, with all the stuff that's happening when you're running through the levels.
mhm. I think one of my favorite tracks, I have two. Um, First one is Run Program, which I believe on the playlist we were listening to, that would be
Uh
number
huh.
two. I'm not certain though. Um, that's the one. It's one of the two. I will always pick when I'm going on stream mode to try and set a new record.
Nice. Let's see. Number 9. I know I was like kind of like my second one. Um, I feel like it had a little bit of a 2.0 reference. When I listened to it, I feel like I got like some a rhythmic reference to it. And I like the addition of the clock. Just, it kind of reminds you, oh, hey, you're running out of time. You need a run program. And I also kind of reference how some of these tracks kind of remind me of tracks on Mario Kart. I mean, just, how upbeat and uplifting they are. And with all the chaos that's happening with the games, I'm like, oh, this reminds me of this one, reminds me of that one Mario Kart track, just how upbeat it is and just everything happening around.
Yeah. Um, this is like not my second favorite, but it is the other one I will always choose when I'm playing stream mode, and it's titled Invalid Path. I know what it is about it. It's just a very good track.
Yeah, I'm looking at it as well. I just like the simple, like it just creates this simple harmonization of, of a couple of chords. And then as the track continues to progress, I just like how it just expands it. And that's how like I just liked how these two composers kind of work together to just, start really small and like just expand each of the tracks in general. Because that's what I noticed in Runner, is that they have these like nice simple melodies, and then what they do as they compose each track, they just branch out and just embellish like the rhythm and the melody for each track just to make it different and unique, but still carry the same concept for the game.
Hmm. And then my second favorite track on my end is 611 Timeout.
Yeah.
It's like it's just one. I like the title. It's a very good title. And then we have and in terms of a track, it's just really fun, really upbeat, like all of the tracks. But
Yeah, I felt like that track in general had just a nice melody. And of course with the title itself, it's just like, like this is happening. The next track under it for me is Underworld Remix 8 Decrypted. So definitely again it has more of that 2.0-ish vibe, but also I swear it's got a variation of Son of Flynn. I felt like it's using that same rhythmic motif. Wow, I cannot words again. But also in the same key as Son of Flynn, and just hearing the melody or the rhythm just being played so different and unique, just to make it more exclusive to Runner.
yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I like kind of hear what you're saying with like the Son of Flynn part of it. Like thinking back on it, I like kind of remember having as like a
Yeah,
passive
it
line.
has like the same note progression.
Mm-hmm. Are there any others you would like to discuss?
uh let's see. uh I'm trying to think because there's two I actually want. Oh, no, there's three, sorry. That I want to talk about. Probably remix Underworld Remix 11 again. Ender Decrypted. Just it had included the clapping, and of course we get more of that dialogue. Like in City Remix 6 we had this way, and then it almost sounds like I heard "Watch This."
Non wants to show off.
I don't know. Let's see. And then Variety Error. I hope I'm saying Variety Error. I cannot words. I swear I can't words today. Um I just wrote it, definitely like the track just definitely sticks to the name. And I felt like just like Zombie Club and Uprising, I felt like this track has been Abraxified, because I felt like I get a little bit of like, references to Abraxas's theme. And I just love the dissonance that this track uses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very, very fun track. All of these tracks are great on a running playlist.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure. I mean, it's not like the title is called Tron Runner. There we go again.
nah.
Okay, but for real, how like what's the proper way to say it? Because I almost like saying it just like how I say like GIF or GIF. Is it runner or runnar? Like I sometimes will mess it up.
I say runner, but I also know some people who will die on the hill that it is Runnar.
Oh.
So I don't know. I have to look up an interview for that later now
Yeah, because
because
I'm just all like, I'm afraid I'm gonna make a mistake and get called out on it. But there's it's like GIF and GIF. Everybody has a preference.
I'm sure someone will call us out if
Yeah, it
we're
was
wrong.
so we're sorry, and we'll make sure to say it correctly.
Maybe. Just maybe. So what are your closing thoughts on Runner?
So to me, I mean, Runner really has more of that similar style as 2.0 with most of these tracks. These two composers, they really kept their themes minimal as well as keeping them with the same key. I mean, like I said, I mean, some of like the city remixes can be grouped together because of the key. But yeah, and of course, I didn't discover Runner until last year, and I was all like, "Wait, there was another Tron game besides Evolution." So I went watched the gameplay, listened to the soundtrack. But yeah, I mean, like I said, most of all the tracks would be played at a club, and the game in general really kind of had that, I guess, aspect of a of like one of the old like classic games called Temple Run. So yeah,
Oh, Temple Run
yeah, good times.
memories.
Yeah, so Giorgio Moroder and Rainy Shockney, I mean, you guys did such a good job on this track. I mean, I could definitely pick up the styles of both of you when y'all composed each of these tracks.
Yeah, you can tell they put a lot of thought and effort into them. And something that we didn't really mention is that Runner also had a lot of remixes made by other artists that were put into
Yes.
the game. There's a lot of them, so we aren't going to list all of them, but you can look it up for yourself. They're all
Yeah, and
really
the
good.
cover of the soundtrack. I know you messaged me about it, and I was all like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about it, but it's so cool."
Yeah, it just looks really,
Yes.
really good.
It definitely kept the grid vibe.
So in my mind, Runner is my least favorite Tron soundtrack. That's not to say that it's bad. It just didn't make an impact on me as much as any of the other five that we have talked about in the past few
Yeah.
episodes.
I mean, I agree with you too. I put out of all, like, if we were to kind of, make a list of, from lowest to highest, yeah, Runner's definitely at the bottom for me. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I just feel like it's not as impactful compared to the other Tron soundtracks.
Yeah, I mean, we also talked about all the tracks are basically the same
Mm-hmm.
tone because they're all meant to focus on the one point in the game,
Yeah.
running. But with all the other soundtracks, we have all the various story elements and everything, which this game just doesn't have.
I don't know. I mean, it's apparently it's canon, right? Am I wrong?
No,
Oh,
it's a
yeah, because I was
non-canon
about to say, I mean, how is running canon?
because
Of
Anon's in
course.
it.
Anon is amazing.
We love Anon.
Yeah, so I guess if we're gonna, since we are technically done with the music section of the podcast, I guess, do you want to continue ranking the best tracks or best soundtracks?
Ooh, okay, okay. I was not prepared for this,
It's gonna
but
take me a while because I know there's like
let's
there's like
see.
a fight between first and second for me. So,
Not for me. There's a fight between third
oh,
and
okay.
fourth
I'm curious too. I'm curious
because
now.
hmm, because my first place is Legacy. That's easy. Second place is Uprising, but third and fourth, I think it's honestly a tie between 82 and 2.0.
Oh, interesting.
because I really can't decide which one's better. I think I'm gonna give it to 2.0 because there's just more. It's a longer soundtrack.
And of
Yeah.
course, yeah,
So
2.0 is kind of a more, I guess, enhanced version or updated version of 82. So I mean, honestly, I would have put that in my third spot because my top, of course, Legacy. Like I have like this debate between, Legacy and Uprising, but Legacy is the movie I grew up on, so I mean that's obviously like it has like an auto lock on first place. And then Tron Uprising is my second. I just love, just more character themes. 2.0, as much as I despise the chimes, I just think it's really cool. And I have that as number 3 for me. And just, I know, I like Scherzo 2.0 and, that Hawaiian, that other Hawaiian track that I like.
Hawaiian
Yes.
Tronaction.
And then 82, I put it right at 4. Actually, no. I kind of like
No?
Evolution too.
Oh, I entirely forgot about
I
Evolution.
probably tie Evolution with 82. I feel like they're both equally good tracks
Yep.
and
I think I'm.
they're a lot very ambient.
Yeah, both of them really
Yeah.
are a lot of ambience for the most part.
Yeah, and then of course I would put Runner at the bottom. And of course,
So we actually have the
technically
same
it
rating.
wasn't expected.
I was not expecting that either, but here
Yeah,
we are.
I mean between 2.0 and Evolution and 82, I don't know why. I mean, I guess after like watching cutscenes for 2.0, I'm like, "Oh wow, this is very very cool." And I like the music. And of course, for a 2003 game, it was great. I mean, and I just the quirky computer sounds just makes it just so unique.
Yeah.
I guess we literally skipped doing closing notes for Uprising.
Yeah, we did, but
So we'll just keep going on and on for cycles about how good, how like good the soundtrack is.
there will never be closing
Yeah,
statements.
it's infinite. We'll keep talking about it as long as we
It's
live.
infinite. Okay, let's do an outro. We're almost finished with music stuff.
Yay. Basically all my
You can go
specialty.
first because I'm gonna promote socials.
Yeah. So, I mean, I mean, this is like to all of y'all that are listening. Like, literally, go listen to each of these tracks. They are amazing. Each of the composers put a lot of effort into really bringing the Tron verse to life, and just each of the character themes, the rhythmic motives, and just the variations that happen. Like it really you're in it. They really bring you into the grid. It's all like you have like a VR headset and you're just there. The music's just playing in the background. And like for doing these episodes focusing on the music, I mean, I just love it. It really just shows how much I love Tron and the fact that I can use my field of study to kind of go on and analyze each of these tracks. I mean, just the music is phenomenal. Like, please give them a listen. These composers have done just such a great job. And I feel like, the Tronverse wouldn't be the same if these composers weren't selected.
Definitely, all of them have shaped the franchise in so many ways for so many people, and they're just all amazing. Like, go listen to their other work that isn't Tron, because it's all
Yeah, and like an interesting thing about Joseph Trapani that I didn't know is he also did score work for The Greatest Showman, and I've actually played an arrangement of it,
good.
and I was all like, wait a minute, how did I not notice? Like, I need to go look back into the marching band arrangement that I had and to see if Joseph Trapani's name was on there, because like that just blew my mind when I was uh writing a biography, writing up his biography. And I was all like, oh my gosh, like I did not know that. And the fact, he did, like, I'm just comparing to what he did for Tron Uprising. I'm so like, this composer, like, he's very diverse in what he does. And I'm just happy that he was fortunate to compose the screen work for Legacy and, of course, take the whole, like, work on all of Uprising.
Mm-hmm. So it was very fun to go through all of these
Oh, yeah.
soundtracks with you, and hopefully soon there will be more soundtracks to go through.
I hope so.
Very
Is they are
hopefully.
great, and I just like more character themes. I mean, that's what makes it, at least for me, that's what like just makes a track spectacular, is like the character themes. And I will gush about certain tracks just because of that.
Indeed, indeed you will. Looks like the Abraxas part from last episode.
I'm still sad that we didn't say the word Abraxify, because we planned to do it for the evolution segment, and
We're
now we're
saying
saying it
it
now.
now. You've said it in this episode.
Yep.
It's a term.
Definitely
It's a
not
term.
going to be in a dictionary
But
that's being written. Yeah.
totally not. Ha ha ha. Um, thank you everyone for listening, and make sure to follow us on Instagram at Tron Podcast, Twitter at TronLives underscore, and you can email us on Gmail at TronLives2010 at
Yeah,
gmail.com.
we definitely have our own
Thank
site,
you
which is
for
so cool. And of course, if you want to, like, like find us individually, my Instagram is Tron MIDI Archive. I do an analysis on each of the Tron tracks, and of course, kind of a more expanded version of what I talk about here. And yeah, I analyze music. I analyze music for fun, especially when it comes to Tron.
Yes, her posts are amazing, and you can follow me at Discs of Tron, where I basically just post whatever I want that's Tron related. But normally it's quotes, facts, all that fun stuff. Thank you for listening, and remember, Tron lives.
For the good of the uprising.